They set out from Switzerland, chasing a line on the map. Unexplored valleys, forbidden borders, and peaks no one had ever named. What they found in the high silence of the Himalayas would challenge everything they thought they knew.
Hey, glad you're here. Welcome to the Himalayan Journals. Here on this channel, we bring to you real stories from century old field notes. We try to keep it simple and calm here. Think of it as a documented history of the Himalayas from the early 1900s, covering stories of indigenous wisdom, epic expeditions, and groundbreaking science passed on just as they were recorded. Subscribe, zone out, binge.
Under the bright morning of the 18th of March, we flew out of Switzerland, bound once again for the Himalayas. 30 hours later, the heat of Calcutta pressed on us like a weight, heavy with humidity. There, I found Rahul, who had been our liaison officer in Garhwal 3 years earlier. Together, we traveled to Darjeeling to enlist our Sherpas, some young and eager, others seasoned and steady. Pasang Lama agreed to act as contractor, and we hired 200 coolies to carry our 4 tons of equipment towards the base. Back in Calcutta, through Kalimpong, we completed the difficult diplomatic formalities that granted us entry into northeast Nepal. It was a relief, for only the year before, our permission for Dhaulagiri had been refused. A dock strike in Colombo held our stores for 3 weeks, but by then the remaining members had joined us. Madame Anneliese Loner, Alfred Sutter, Dr. Weiss Dunant, and the 2 Grindelwald guides, J. Pargatzi and A. Ruby. We left Darjeeling on the 1st of May. By the 10th of May, we reached Zongri, halfway to the Kangchenjunga Glacier. 2 more days carried us across the Kangla, then down to Tseram, with several cases of snow blindness. Over the Mergenla, we dropped into the Charchu Valley and Kunza, while Janu rose like a dark tower on our right. We reached the hamlet of Kangbachen, a Tibetan land in all but name, and on the 19th day from Darjeeling, we stood at our base in Lonak. Here, on a small alp between the Tsisima Torrent and the Kangchenjunga moraine, we rested. Soon, 2 reconnaissance teams set out. Madame Loner, Sutter, and Ruby went north to explore Dromo, Jansong Peak, and Nupchu. Pargatzi and I, with 6 Sherpas, moved towards the Ramtang Glacier in Kangbachen. We camped at 18,000 feet, where the day burned with light and the nights froze hard. The next morning we studied the route, but avalanches and seracs barred every approach. Any ascent from this side would be perilous, especially for the porters who trusted us completely. So we turned back to Lonak. On the 27th of May, we left for Pyramid Peak. We fixed camps at Pangpema and Pangpegorma, then climbed the Ginsang Glacier to Camp 2. A 40-hour storm trapped us at the Langpola, burying our tents in snow. When the skies finally cleared, we pushed upward, pitched Camp 4 on the Sphinx, and prepared our tracks. On 6th June, we left camp at 7. Frostbite threatened, mists crept in, and the corniced ridge forced us repeatedly onto dangerous slopes. At last, we reached the summit crest, only 80 yards from the top, separated by a line of frozen spikes. To break through them would have been senseless. We had reached the crest, we had conquered the pyramid, and we were spent to the point of blue faces and shaky legs. 2 days later, we returned to base camp under a warm sky bright with flowers. After 4 days, we set out again, this time to the unexplored region above the Kangchenjunga Glacier. We discovered an unknown valley which we named Tang Kongma and soon climbed the peak above it. On 10th June, we stood on its summit at about 20,500 feet, gazing at Everest, Makalu, Lhotse, and the unending chain of peaks along the Tibetan frontier. From there, we turned north to attempt Nupchu. We crossed the Lonak Glacier, climbed to the Chabuk Col, and entered Tibet's harsh, wind-swept world. Camp after camp, we pushed higher past Stonefalls, Seracs, and a hanging glacier. At Camp Phi, at 21,700 feet, we watched monsoon clouds rising like a dark sea. Next morning, we tried the final ridge, but cornices forced us out onto the steep north face. A great crack split the air, and 160 feet of snow cornice tore away beneath us. We continued for hours, clinging above an abyss. At last, exhausted and shaken, we accepted defeat. The mountain was too steep, too exposed, too dangerous. We descended carefully, grateful simply to be alive. We then climbed Zanye Peak in foul monsoon weather, battling soft snow, crevasses, and hail. On 1st July, we crossed the Chabuk La in a blizzard and struggled down to Camp 2. 2 days later, we marched through green valleys bright with edelweiss and forget-me-nots, beautiful after so many weeks among rocks and ice. On the 18th of July, we left Lonak for good. Through the Nango La, the Zarichu Valley, Walungchung Gola, Taplachong, and finally the Singalila Ridge, we made our long journey out. Rain, cloud bursts, swollen rivers, ruined tracks, and deep forest accompanied us. On 7th August, we reached Darjeeling. Rahul and Dr. Wiss greeted us with letters from home and a barber to clear our beards. Thus ended our 99th day. The wish we all shared was simple: to return someday and live again in the high silence of the Himalayas.